At Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Central Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 501-244-3667, or visit our website at directserviceoverhead.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
All right, everybody. Happy Monday. It is May 1st on a Monday. How about that? First of the month on a Monday. I guess it seems appropriate. I don't know. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Yo. There you go. All right. We're getting all the mixtures here, getting it all ready to go. All right. Yeah. Lot to unpack on this one. First off, shout out to these fine people right here, to these Patreon supporters. I've had some movement the last couple of days, not all good. But luckily some people are, it looks like we might still carry 50 over. We might still carry 50 over on Patreon. We've had some people make some adjustments here and there, but at least they're sticking it out with Patreon. I do appreciate that. You guys, really, this, I'm telling you, with the way YouTube ad revenue works now, it's about the only way this thing works anymore. So, yeah, shout out to you guys. Okay, our Odd Soul poll, since Arkansas is not playing, they're not playing at Baum, all right? A lot of you guys know this. They're playing at Dickey Stevens Park tomorrow at 6 p.m. Of course, we know that's in North Little Rock. The poll is, should Arkansas Athletics ever play home games, here we go, away from Fayetteville? Oh, my goodness. There we go. There's our poll. Should Arkansas athletics, football, basketball, baseball, should they ever play home games away from Fayetteville? There we go. There's the poll. We got a super chat already. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate it. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. That is our Odd Soul poll, brought to you by the Odd Soul, located on Emma Street in Springdale. Fantastic pies. Quality IPAs, you name it, man. Great atmosphere, great environment, great staff, great on-hand staff. They do good stuff, make good pies, and pour delicious beverages inside the Odd Soul on Emma Street in Springdale. So there you go. There's our Odd Soul poll. I think that's a juicy one. Okay? So there you go. Go take the poll. Football, no. Other sports, it shouldn't matter, says Austin. Shouldn't matter? It shouldn't matter, Austin? I don't know about that, man. That's, I don't know. You say it shouldn't matter. Last I checked, the campus was in Fayetteville. Just saying. Not a lot of other teams do that in all three sports where you're playing away from your campus when you have home games. You probably, I might surprise some of you, my take on that. I think it does matter. I think where you play your home games does matter. And I've heard some really good stories about people who, you know, going down to Little Rock, watching basketball or football or, you know, whatever, watching a football game down inside War Memorial in Little Rock. Some really, you know, good stories. My family, we're all, not me personally, but a story that I was told a little while back. My family, we're all from the Delta, and we don't get the opportunity to go to Fayetteville very often. We got to go to Little Rock to watch them play LSU. That's one of the greatest memories I ever have. Someone told me this. It was a really good, really heartwarming story. But at the same time, I don't know. In fact, Arkansas might be one of the very, very few schools, now I could be wrong on this, where football, basketball, and baseball, they play at least one game every other year away from home. I could be wrong. I did see, a little while back, someone who I trusted on Twitter had posted about that. The Arkansas, in fact, was like the only school to do that. So to say that it doesn't matter, I think is incorrect. I think it does matter. But it is baseball. It is a midweek game, right? Lipscomb, I don't know. And, win or lose, someone's going to have a good time down there. Someone's going to get an opportunity that probably wouldn't have. So I understand both sides of it. Anthony White says, hell no. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. I do appreciate it. I live in Central Arkansas. It's a no for me. Wow. Okay, says Jamie DW21. Little Rock and North Little Rock need to step up their facilities before we start playing any sport here. That's pretty on. That's a good take right there, man. Yeah. Little Rock, let's be real. Arkansas shouldn't be playing football down there. That's just my opinion. I definitely don't think they should be playing football down there at all. No way. Ty, what's up? Woo Pig Suey. What's going on, Michael Harris? I like the guy from Southwest Arkansas University, but what about Anthony Black's little brother? Looks good. Looks good to me. Maybe we can get him one day to love the videos. Hey, I appreciate that, Michael. Yeah, we got some edited content, by the way, coming out this week. Now, I say edited. Some of the content could be splices taken from this channel, from this show. Sometimes I plan on eventually splicing some of these videos up and kind of giving you an extra, for people who don't watch the entire live show, maybe take a part out that we're, maybe a football piece or basketball or baseball, whatever. I might cut it up throughout the week and kind of give you guys either a YouTube short or like a little 4-minute piece. Neutral site games should only be in pro stadiums, period, says Nicholas Kendrick. Wow. Interesting. What up, John? How you doing, man? Haas, one of our mods here, one of our YouTube mods. He's not a Discord mod, but he's one of our YouTube mods. All right. Let's get going here. We already started off on the poll. I think it's a good poll, by the way. So if you're hopping in, go take the poll if you're coming in. And also, like, share, subscribe. Yeah. All right. First topic, we're just going to start off with what the title is. We're gonna talk about Ron Holland, who decommitted from Texas not that long ago. His name has been out there. Sounds like there's an opportunity here for Arkansas. We know Arkansas was all over his recruitment. Obviously, he committed to Texas and was ready to do what he needed to do there, right? It looked like even without Beard, he was still on board for a short while. Don't really know what changed. I've kind of seen some takes here and there, but at the end of the day, whatever. He's not there anymore. At the moment, it certainly sounds like he's out the doors, and it could be between Arkansas and the G League Ignite as the front runners. That's coming from Jeff Goodman. Jeff Goodman, a very trusted source on Twitter, by the way. If you don't know who Jeff Goodman is, he's the basketball analyst at Stadium, covers hoops at all levels, previously at ESPN, CBS, Fox. So he's not exactly a nobody. So, Jeff Goodman, a really good source. I would recommend probably like Curtis Wilkerson, who does a really good job here. There's some really good people that cover Arkansas basketball here. There really is, in state. But Jeff Goodman, I'm sure, probably took some of that information from some local media people, I'm sure. But Jeff Goodman, again, he tweets. This was as of this morning at 9 o'clock, May 1st, for those of you coming back and watching this, 2023. Already May. It's just incredible. The early indications on Texas decommit and hard-playing forward Ron Holland are on Arkansas and the G League Ignite as the front runners, but that could obviously change. That's big. That's huge. Now, this is not exactly brand new news, but there are a lot of people who feel like there's a good shot here. I've seen the screenshots. I've seen what people have said here and there. I believe that Arkansas is absolutely back in the mix on this thing. Now, I don't know. I don't know if Arkansas is going to be able to compete when you talk about NIL stuff. There's no doubt about it. What's the guy on Twitter? Ant Wright. Is that his name? Ant Wright. He usually bickers. He used to bicker all the time with Pinto. I guess he's some kind of Michigan Wolverine basketball insider. I don't know a lot about the guy, but even he had something to say about Arkansas's NIL, talking about how Kentucky couldn't touch Arkansas's NIL. I don't know how true that is. That seems wild to me to say that Arkansas is that much further ahead of Kentucky basketball when you're talking about NIL. But then again, when you consider everything that's gone on around here and what Arkansas has been able to do in the portal and all the moves they've made, it certainly would indicate that, by God, their NIL must be kicking some ass. But Jeff Goodman seems to think so as well. He seems to believe at least, he's not commenting on the NIL stuff, but he at least believes that Arkansas has a legit shot at Ron Holland. This would be huge. This would be yet again another big-time 5-star prospect for Eric Musselman to grab. It's a forward. It's a guy. I don't know if he's waiting on Walsh or not. Someone had asked. I seen where that was a comment. Wasn't in our Discord. I forgot where. Maybe Twitter. Someone had mentioned about waiting on Walsh. I don't know that story. I don't know if he is or not. I would imagine probably not. He's going to come here no matter what Walsh does. But, yeah, Ron Holland is the real deal. I mean, he's a big-time unanimous 5-star forward. Big-time get. 247 says he's the number one forward. He's the number one player in the state of Texas. They have him listed at 6'8", but I don't know. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I swear I've seen him listed taller in other sites, but 0.99 5-star, 0.9987 for those of you who want to get specific. Yeah, big-time 5-star, big-time 4-piece. Every bit of footage I've seen, video I've seen on Ron Holland, he certainly steps out in front of everybody else. That is for sure. It's hard to say. It's hard to answer for either direction, although I'd say it matters in all the sports. Oh, Aaron Harbison talking about the poll. Yeah, don't forget to take the poll. Should Arkansas Athletics ever play home games away from Fayetteville? 65% of you say no. So we've got a lot of people in here. Make sure you go take that poll. I want to know what you guys think. I'll give you my opinion here in a second. Hit the like button. Yeah, hit the like button. Super Chat's available as well. What does NIL mean? Yeah, it's name, image, and likeliness. Yeah, that's what it means. CB Stotts says football, no basketball, absolutely. Okay, football, no. Stotts says basketball, absolutely. So they should play. They should play basketball down in Little Rock, says Stotts. Ty, if we get Ron Holland, do we still go after a big man with the last scholarship, or we wait on Devo? That's a good question. Let's talk about what they have. No matter what with Ron Holland, or at least what the possibilities are. Right? Okay, you're. Let me pull up my list here. You got Layden Blocker and Bayfall coming in. Of course, Bayfall 6'10", good arm length, 205 pounds. He's coming in as a freshman, so he's going to have 4 years remaining. For those of you who, I get it. There's plenty of people who are just kind of getting caught up with basketball. Big time player. Layden Blocker, 6'2", 175-pound guard, also incoming freshman, right? Okay. Your returners, your guys that we know at the moment, I believe are going to be back. Joseph Pinion, Trevon Brazile, Jalen Graham, Mekhi Mitchell. There's 3 guys on that list I just mentioned that are 6'9", with pretty good wingspans, at least 6'9". Trevon Brazile's a tall 6'10". Okay, Trevon Brazile's 6'10", 212. Would love to see that dude pack on a little bit of weight in the offseason. I thought he kind of got pushed around a little bit, early on. Of course, he didn't play much. I think he only ended up playing, 8.5 games, I think, for Arkansas. But saw him at times, not super duper aggressive. Kind of got boxed out a little bit, but overall, he's a star. He's a potential, I believe, another potential lottery pick for Eric Musselman and this staff. Joseph Pinion coming back, who's a taller guard, 6'5", 6'6", 185 pounds. Jalen Graham, 6'9", 225. Mekhi Mitchell, 6'9"-ish, 230 pounds. Right. Okay, so right there, you've got at least 1, 2, 3, 4 guys on your roster. They're going to be 6'9" to 6'10", 6, maybe a small 6'11", right? All right, transfers. You've got L. Ellis, guard, 6'3", 180. Khalif Battle, 6'5", 175. Tremont Marks, 6'5", 195. And then Keon Menefield, 6'1", 170. And did I say Jeremiah Davenport, who's 6'6", 6'7"? He's another one, I think, with pretty long wingspan. On what we don't know on this roster, obviously, you're still waiting on a couple of guys, right? We don't know what Devo's doing. We don't know what Jordan's doing. I've heard that Jordan, last I saw, he was climbing the draft board. I would say on average, I don't know. I'm not even going to comment. I don't know where he ends up going. It wouldn't shock me at all if he climbed his way into the back end of the first round of the draft. Devo is the one that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and we'll see what he does. Does he transfer? Does he try the NBA? They're both eligible to come back. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know what they do. Remember, Walsh, long arms, long wingspan, big hands, can take up a big portion of whatever side of the floor he's on, can guard like the 1 through 4 and sometimes the 5, depending on the size of the 5, depending on the size of the forward or the guard down low, playing around the post. He can guard legitimately almost, I think, just about every position at this level. Now, next level, that's I don't know, right? I don't know where he could guard. But he's obviously someone you want back as a defensive leader. Someone who in the offseason you would love to see develop both ends, maybe develop a clean-looking jump shot. I don't see him ever as a deep threat guy. He's not going to be a guy knocking down the 3 ball. He's not going to be a Joseph Pinion knocking down the corner 3. But would love to see him maybe someone you could rely on around the post. We know he's a hell of a backdoor cutter. He's got some strengths, right? There's some things that he can do on the offensive end of the floor. We just never really saw it consistently. But he is someone, when you talk about a defensive player, very active hands, at times a little too active. I mean, there's a reason. He doesn't necessarily play smart defensive basketball, but when he does, he's not far, in my opinion, he's not far behind a Devo when you talk about his defensive presence on the floor. Now, Devo, one of the best 3-ball defenders. I've talked in length with a couple of people who've watched a hell of a lot more basketball than I have at all levels, high school, college, and pro, and they'll tell you they think Devo's one of the best perimeter guards, defensive players that Arkansas's had since, it's been a minute. I mean, I've seen people compare him to Patrick Beverly at this level. Beverly, that's his of course, he developed his defensive game even more so in the NBA. He's got a bit of a reputation, can create scenes. He can flap his gums, get in the ears of those players. He can get you pissed off. That's just a strength that he has. That I love that kind of stuff. But so, in other words, you've got some options here. I don't know, especially with Brazile coming back. You've got some length, right? You've got some guys with some arm length. Do you have someone who can really play up at the 5 spot, who could play on both ends of the floor, who could maybe be a marquee offensive rebounder, give you those second chance shots, someone who can guard around the post, can block out real well or box out real well? Do you have that true 5 on roster? I think Brazile is that guy, or can be that guy, even more so. Bay Fall, who's someone who's already over 205 pounds, who's 6'10", a tall 6'10", 205 pounds with good arm length. They have some size coming in. We'll see what they do. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I do because I don't. But I would guess that we're going to need to see how all this plays out with Holland first, right? What happens and how they handle the Devo and Jordan Wall situation. Those are two guys that I think, would gladly welcome back. So, I don't know. I want to say special shout out to our other sponsors. Oh, my cat's turned to. Okay, what's up, buddy? If I do that, he'll come up here. I don't know what he's doing. I left the door cracked open, and he just like burst in the room. Direct Service Overhead, our very first sponsor on this show. Shout out to those guys. If you guys need garage work done, hit them up, man. 501-244-3667. They offer free estimates. You just want them to come look. Give them a call. They'll do it for free. Quality parts, affordable outcomes, hundreds of 5-star reviews, better than best results. Again, that's 501-244-3667. And, of course, the Apex Tattoo Studio, located at 201 South 19th Street in Rogers, Arkansas. Walk-ins are welcome. You can also call and set up an appointment, 479-278-2694. Tap-out sessions are still available. 10% off if you mention Tuss Talk with Ty as of this week. They'll give you that discount. So, some good basketball talk. I don't mind it a little bit. There's another player in the portal. I don't know if Arkansas has reached out. His name has come across. I've had a couple of you guys DM me, and I've seen his name come up in our Discord. Warren Washington, kid that committed to Oregon State out of high school, then he transferred to Arizona State. 7 foot, 225 pounds. If you're talking about going out and offering somebody, he's a super duper senior. I think he's technically, it's either 5th or 6th year. He's, he's probably knocking on like 37 years old, but whatever, he can't quite get that 10% discount at Taco Bell. I don't know if they still offer that or not. I'm just kidding. He's probably like 22, 23. 7 foot, 225 pounder out of, I cannot pronounce the name of the town he's from, but he's from California. Escondido, California. That's not a name that you pronounce often. 9 points a game, almost 7 rebounds a game, almost 2 assists. His overall, his field goal percentage is 50. It's north of 56%. Obviously, he plays around the post. So he's 9.7 rebounds. That's not bad. That's someone I guess Arkansas has sent an offer out to. Maybe you guys can confirm that in chat. So, man, look at all that basketball talk we got out there, huh? Yeah, feeling it, baby. Little Rock is the no TV city. This is Marco. Oh, man, it kills me when they show Arkansas down there. Listen, you're going to have to do it again come September. Game 1 against Western Carolina, Razorback football down in Little Rock. Let's see where that poll's at. 70% of you guys, listen, we're only at 50 votes. Let's get the votes up. Take the poll. It's up top on your screen, on the chat screen. Should Arkansas Athletics ever play home games away from Fayetteville? I'm getting an not who I thought that was. I'm making okay. Wrong thing here. Let me scroll down. Basketball and baseball get so many home games. As it is, it doesn't hurt them to play in Central Arkansas. Not suggesting conference games, but it hurts nothing in basketball and baseball. Again, it does cost money to travel. Okay, and you got to think about room and board. Now, I know you're going to say that those are pennies in the pockets of the University of Arkansas, and that may be true. Again, I'm just offering you a counter argument, Austin. I see what you're saying, but to assume that it hurts nobody is also incorrect. You're still having to travel, fueling up the buses, right? Feeding all these guys. Of course, baseball and basketball have significantly smaller rosters compared to football, but It does. It helps the local economies down there for sure. I know they love it. I guess you could look at it from that point of view. Kobe White wants to know, what do you think our chances are of getting Big Ron? At the moment, they're pretty high. I mean, there's so much smoke. And this isn't based on anything that I've been told. This isn't based on anything that anyone has told me. It's just the observations from around social media, and now you've got someone like Jeff Goodman who's chiming in on it with talking about, again, we already talked about his tweet earlier, but he says the early indications on Texas decommit and hard-playing forward Ron Holland are on Arkansas in the G League Ignite as the two front-runners. I appreciate all the retweets, by the way, Austin and John Haas. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate that. The retweets go a long ways. But there seems to be a lot of smoke in Arkansas's direction. Kentucky fans are getting butthurt. Boy, that always makes you feel good, though, doesn't it? Aaron Torres said us or G League are heavy favorites. Did not see that. Okay, there you go. Scrolling. What's going on, Cody James? How you doing? And let's see, sup, homies. And no, as a fan, the Little Rock game is legit. As a program, they lose too much money. Boy, football, it costs them a lot. I'm going to tell you right now, they should not be playing in Little Rock. But I've talked about that before for football. I don't think they should play any games football wise down in Little Rock. There's just, God bless, man. It's like Petrino once compared it to getting ready for an away game. In terms of, having to travel and all that, it takes away a little bit of time for him. I think it was like practice and film, but Petrino lived, by film, analyzing nonstop. I can't imagine him now in the era of smartphones, with YouTube and stuff. I bet he's just constantly on YouTube, even to this day. Even though his football team last year sucked, now he's with A&M. Philip White says, Ron Holland, sir, let's get it. That's right. That is correct. Hey, make sure you guys like the stream for those of you. We've got a lot of people in here. We've only got 25 likes. I know we can get that number up. Can we get it over? Let's say we can get it to 40. Can we get the likes up to 40? I know we can do that. If we get Ron from Texas and break Kentucky's hearts, doing it in the greatest scenario that could possibly happen, says Philip. Hog hoops will always be hot with Muss drawing the best players' attention. Yeah, and so one of the things about Eric Musselman that people get so upset about, and this is the common rhetoric used against Musselman, is that he doesn't develop talent. That he doesn't develop guys. He just loads and reloads every year. Doesn't matter what they are, if they're incoming freshmen. I would argue throughout his time here, he's doing one of the things that matters a lot to these kids, which is getting them an opportunity to go to the NBA. Now, some guys like Devo, Devo is one of those guys I always kind of felt like was going to have to play at least 2 years. And he's been here for 3, and we'll see if he comes back for a 4th or whatever he decides to do. I would argue that Musselman is utilizing the tools that are given to him, now legal by the NCAA. And he's doing a hell of a job. Now, you can also look at these guys, again, who are one-and-dones. You can look at these guys as soon as he got here, as soon as Eric Musselman got here early on in his time, his first couple of years, the players that he did develop while they were here. And I think he did make some of these guys better. You look at where some of these guys came from versus where they're at or where they ended up, what they ended up accomplishing at the University of Arkansas. I would say at the very least that he's utilizing the tools that are given to him. Eric Musselman is utilizing what the NCAA says, here, this is what you can do. He's doing it. You can't fault him for that. He wants to put a winning recipe together and end up putting a good product together on the floor for fans and for, of course, success for the program. And I think eventually if listen, man, it's hard when someone says, hey, Ty, in the next 5 years, is Arkansas going to win a national championship in football, basketball, or baseball? My mind, of course, football. I don't, listen, I'm 40 in July. I would love to see them be contenders at the very least before I die. But Baseball, there's a possibility. Dave Van Horn, remember, those of you who want him gone simply because he loses a midweek game or he gets swept by Georgia, just remember, the grass is not always greener, and Dave Van Horn has done a hell of a job with what he's been given. But my mind ultimately always goes to basketball. Eric Musselman has done everything that's available to him. He's utilized every asset. He's put together a hell of a staff, and he's either recruiting at a high level, from high school, or he's recruiting at a high level in the portal. He's using the things that he's allowed. He's using the tools that are necessary to win at a high level at Arkansas, and he's made 3 straight Sweet 16s with back-to-back Elite Eights. You tell me what he's doing wrong. And I would argue that not developing talent is incorrect. I think he's done a pretty good job of developing and putting a good product on the floor, at least when it matters the most. So again, when someone asks me of those 3 major sports, my mind always goes to, hell, I think he can win a title within the next year or 2. Baseball, you never know, because baseball is one of the trickiest damn sports, one of the most fickle sports that exist. I don't watch hockey. I don't watch golf. Definitely don't watch soccer. I don't watch those sports. No disrespect to soccer. I'm just kidding. Someone once called it commie kickball, and I busted out laughing. But I don't watch those sports. Baseball's fickle. It's like you got to go through a brutal SEC schedule. Hope that you can make a regional. Hope that you host. Arkansas, it's always, can you host a regional, not can you just make a regional, which says so much about Dave Van Horn. And then it's like getting ready for the regional, getting ready if you can get through that, get to the super regional. Then you go through the College World Series, which is its own thing, and then you go to the championship game if you're able. Of course, Arkansas has done that under Dave Van Horn. But Eric Musselman has got the recipe put together, in my opinion, and he's doing it right. Through the portal, he recruits at a high level. Hell, you could get rid of the portal now. The NCAA could close the door. They could close the doors on the transfer portal, and guess what? Eric Musselman's going to go out and recruit high-ranked, Gatorade Player of the Year type players, high 4- and 5-star talent. He's proven that he could do that, in-state or out-of-state. He can go to Alabama and take your best player. Now, unfortunately, one of the downsides, and this goes for all sports, mostly, it impacts all 3 of the big sports, on the men's side of things. It impacts them all differently, and yet, it's one thing to lose an out, a center fielder who just sits right in your batting order, and you lose that, and it's like, Dave Van Horn has shown he can go out and just put the right pieces together. It's something else entirely for basketball to lose like a big piece, like a center, or a hellacious 2 or 3 year starting point guard or whatever. Like those can have major impacts. Your leading scorer, or maybe the only 5-star you have on roster decides he's going to hit the portal. Obviously, I'm not talking about just Arkansas, but football, you can lose a offensive guard, a couple guards. It's like, well, we got to recruit that position. Basketball, it's a different kind of impact, and Musselman has shown that he can. It doesn't matter what happens. He could piece together a good team, really good team, and he could put the right product together on the floor when it matters, which is in March. They should have moved the university to Little Rock a long time ago. Recruiting would be better. No, it would not, Brett. There's nothing to indicate that at all. Hopefully they can make up difference with NIL money. Brett, that argument has been debunked for quite a while, my man. Must needs to get somebody who could rebound and defend, especially developing the defensive side of the ball. Defense is a very big thing for Musselman. Elijah Dilday says NWA is growing way faster than Central Arkansas, sitting at around 600,000 people last I checked too. Yeah, I got a news flash for you, my man. It's not like Little Rock. Just because you got a lot of people in a city doesn't necessarily make it the recruiting haven that you think that it is. Even when they played multiple games down in Little Rock a year, you've always lost guys out of Little Rock Fayetteville is remote, but guess what? So is like 75% of this state. Like, I mean, you could argue the closer to Texas you are, the better. If you want to go move to another location in the state of Arkansas where there's very low population and a lot of poverty. Philip says, folks, no DVH hasn't won a title at Arkansas, but if he was writing a storybook, it's an incredible story. Most can never say, but when he does, it'll be the best ending ever. I hope that Dave wins one. I really do. Yeah, UVLR. That's really all you got to say, right? UVLR existing is proof enough, right? Let's see. Ty, if they're going to play in Little Rock, they need to play in-state schools that way at least our money stays in-state. Yeah, and listen, we've talked about that before too. I don't have a problem with playing in-state schools. I really don't. Whether or not you're going to play them in Little Rock or in Fayetteville, it's whatever. The argument about needing a big city has been blown out of proportion. It isn't the Big's fault. Hold on. You're talking about basketball. I thought we were talking about cities there for a second, Cody. The argument about needing a big has been blown out of proportion. It isn't the Big's fault that the guards consistently went over the top. If the screens. Well, and remember, too, you can recruit length. That's something we don't talk enough about, right? Like, yeah, you would love a guy who's 7 foot, 260 pounds, right? 8 rebounds a game, 12 points, almost double. Like, you would love a big who just out-physicals everybody down low and around the post or down in the paint. Those guys are not easy to find, at least not the good ones. They're hard to find. State and Northeast Arkansas. Oh, Arkansas State. Okay. In Northeast Arkansas is much nicer and better university in a much smaller town than Little Rock. Yeah. Yeah, I've never bought into the idea that if U of A, like you could turn that around in so many different ways and say, damn, if only the capital was in Fayetteville. If only the capital of Arkansas was Fayetteville. But who knows how that turns out, right? A lot of these capital cities turn into what? 7 foot 260 isn't going to get up and down all the time, though. Right. I think now you get what I'm saying, right? Like you would love that. You would love someone with that kind of size, that kind of strength. I think that was something that at times Musselman has probably admitted more or less that they're missing. Let's see here. You guys are bickering on the poll. It's usually a pretty good poll if it creates quite the dialogue in chat. Again, should Arkansas Athletics ever play home games away from Fayetteville? 70% of you say no. 31% of you say yes. Okay. Arkansas football recruiting here really quick. Razorback football makes the short list for 4-star talent. Fletcher Westfall, offensive tackle, 6'7", 6'8", 305 pound. I think actually now he's closer to like 315. Out of Leesburg, Virginia. He's part of this 2024 class. 0.91, 4-star. Tuscarora High School. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But he is a 4-star, and he's cut his list down. He announced on Twitter, this was just yesterday, Georgia, Clemson, Auburn, Florida, and Arkansas make his top 5. It is going to be tough to go to that part of the country and grab a highly sought-after 4-star prospect. It's going to be tough. Those are the schools. Those are typically the schools that recruit each other all the time for this type of talent. Now Arkansas, you're obviously with Sam Pittman. You know he likes to go to South Georgia, right? They're not afraid to kind of go into that part of the country, that region, and recruit some high-profile players. Over the years, they've had some success down in that part of the country, but this would be a big-time get for Arkansas football. Again, 4-star Fletcher Westfall. Big 4-star there. Arkansas in the NFL draft did not go the way I thought it would. I really thought they were going to get at least 3 guys drafted, and they didn't. They only had 2. Hogs had just 2 picks in the NFL draft, both of them taken in the 3rd round. Drew Sanders, 67th overall pick to the Broncos, and Ricky Stromberg, 97th overall pick to Washington. Stromberg was 4th pick out of 9 centers taken off the board, so he was right there in the middle. That's about where he was expected to be taken. You know what I found interesting? Well, really, it's not surprising, but 0 interior offensive linemen were drafted in the 1st round. 0. No guards, no centers that I saw that were drafted. Now, there might have been someone who played a little bit of guard or center in college, but these guys are projected to play tackle. Sometimes they get moved out to right. Sometimes that's kind of what happens. And you get these centers, too, who end up playing at guard in the NFL. You got these guys that can kind of do a little bit of both. Frank Ragnow was a guy who could play just about any position. Interior, he could play left or right or center. But Stromberg, fourth center out of 9. And then you had, what was it? Yeah, I think you had all 4 of those first 4 taken in the 3rd round of the centers. And then, again, there were 9 total taken. Just 2 Razorbacks. That's something I don't know, I could go on a rant. Not real thrilled about that. I'm not going to lie. I thought for sure that Landers and Hazelwood had a shot at getting taken somewhere between the 5th and 7th rounds. Neither one of them do. And now they've signed free agency contracts. They've signed free agency deals, I should say. I think I don't even have it in front of me where they all went, but it's good to see that Ricky goes in the 3rd round because I kind of thought he was going to end up somewhere around the 4th, maybe the 5th round. It's good to see him go as a top 100 pick. Both him and Drew Sanders. I still feel like Drew, man, I think there are a couple teams really could have utilized his talents, and I feel like probably should have been a top 50 pick, but slides down to 67th overall. Yeah. Next year, listen, that's a whole other video. The KJ Jefferson going in the 1st round talk is all over the place. It's everywhere. It's either Pro Football Focus, who doesn't even have him as a top 10 quarterback, last I saw, to some other various websites who think he's a top 10 draft pick. Right? Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and yeah, some of them hold more weight than others, sure. I'm going to side with I don't think he's a top 4 quarterback right now. Someone in the comments section on one of my videos said, yeah, but he's the best quarterback in the best league. Listen, that could change, right? Like right now, he appears to be the best quarterback. We know how this works. He's going to get a little bit of preseason hype, as he should. I think he is a legitimate top 2, top 3 quarterback in this league. He's going to get those preseason accolades. He's going to have these people talking about him as a possible 1st-round draft prospect. Maybe can crack his way into the top 4, top 3, which would put him probably in the 1st round. He's going to crack that conversation, I should say. Doesn't mean that he gets there. You got to play this season out. You're going to have a whole bunch of new players, skill position guys, including the tight end spot. And then all your receivers outside of Centennial and a couple other guys. By the way, all those guys really didn't play much last year, some of it because of injuries and whatever other reasons. And the rest are all transfers. So it's and then you have the new offensive coordinator, something that you have to consider. Now, again, I may cut up a short video on this. I don't know. I've been talking about doing a KJ Heisman video for like 3 weeks or about 2 weeks. And I'm still trying to gather, what notes I can to kind of help persuade me one way or another how he gets there. Again, I just don't see his name. I'm sure, again, preseason, someone's going to talk about him. Hell, their first 3 games of the year are games they should win. They're going to be 3-0. They ought to be able to pad some stats. We ought to be talking about, damn, KJ lit those dudes up. Look at their first 3 opponents. Then you got to play, then you get into the SEC. That's when the conversation gets real, once you get to that SEC part of the schedule, right? Once you start to really play the big boys in this league. That becomes a separate conversation, and one that matters more, that's also going to tell us where he goes in the draft. Right now, I would say no, he's not a first-round draft prospect. That shouldn't be something that triggers anybody. But it does. For whatever reason, when I say that, people get a little butthurt about it. I pissed some people off on Twitter a couple of weeks ago when I said this. He's not. Right now, I don't think he is a first-round draft prospect. Sure, again, someone's going to come around and say, oh, but he is. There's going to be some website that's going to say, well, look at this. You look at these analytics. And he's also, what they're not factoring in is he's playing in a new offense. We can argue, and I think the veer and shoot, the RPO, that high-tempo, fast level of play catered to KJ's abilities. Now it's a different offense that's going to require him to make different kinds of reads in different moments, right? I don't know if they're going to necessarily play at a high tempo or a slower tempo. Stephen Hamner from QB Spotlight and I have talked about this a little bit. I had him on for Patreon supporters. Go watch that video if you're a Patreon supporter and you've not watched it. Go back and watch it. He says this offense looks slower, even though it's a spring game, but they still look slower. And the way they communicate's a little bit different, obviously, just in terms of like the sign usage and the hand motion and all this, all these little different details. If you watch and you notice, things are a little bit different. The way they do things on the field, I think the way they, Enos is obviously a different kind of play caller. Some people love him, some people hate him. There's very few people who seem to be in between on Dan. But regardless, it's going to require KJ to utilize his mind a little bit more. He's going to have to actually, he's had to work on footwork. That's something that Dan, Coach Enos, worked with all of his quarterbacks. I saw it firsthand. Footwork is a big deal for Dan Enos. Maybe that's going to help KJ's game. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it? Talking about the strength of the ball coming from the lower half of your body and listening to him kind of talk to his quarterbacks about that. I'm sure Kendall had some of the same rhetoric. I'm sure he talked about the same stuff, but it's obviously being coached in a different manner, in a different way. The language is going to be a little bit different. Maybe they're going to try and simplify it, but I think the offense is still going to be a little bit more advanced than what Kendall ran. I don't think, one of the things that we talked about here often in our Discords talked about it is the routes seem to be more, they were simple. You didn't run, your route tree wasn't expanded quite as much. Enos's offense, that might be different. Who knows? So that's going to put a little bit more on KJ. I don't know that this offense is going to cater to his athletic abilities or not. So much is going to depend on how Kendall, what he does with KJ in the offseason, right? And then what KJ does with himself in the offseason. His mindset has to be 110% of the time focused on his job, the playbook, his mental and physical well-being throughout the offseason. If he wants to be in that conversation, I don't know if his ceiling is first round or not. I think it might be, but he's going to have to play at the very tippity top of his level through what will be a brutal, as it always is, SEC schedule. He got some tough games on the road this year. Overall, I don't think it's as hard as a schedule as it's been the last couple of years, but still, the SEC has the reputation that it has for a reason, and KJ and Dan Enos have to navigate through that together, and the development of KJ has to be gold status if you want to talk about him being in the conversation of making that trip to New York to be a Heisman or to be a first-round draft prospect. Neither one of those right now I believe that he's going to be. Is his potential there? I think that it probably is, but reaching it is going to be a challenge in and of itself. So, all right. KJ may go in the third round unless something special happens this year. Yeah, and I could totally see him being a top 5 quarterback, which could mean second or third round. I could see that. I could also see him falling off entirely and being a 6th-round quarterback. Listen, he wasn't on anybody's list. In fact, if I remember correctly, he was projected to not even be drafted this year. So it's hard for me to say, oh, well, look, see, he's not going to get drafted this year, to all of a sudden in a single offseason, he's a number 1 pick, or he's a top 10 draft pick. He's a Heisman candidate. It's hard for me. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just hard for me to see that. Frank Broom says Enos is different. Okay. KJ might, but our defense needs to play better. That's what killed us last year. Well, in KJ's health, not having a fully healthy KJ Jefferson certainly had an impact. I mean, LSU. Tell me that's not a win if, a certain somebody was healthy. NWA is ranked way over Tuscaloosa but who has more titles? Oh, you guys are still going on about that. Wow, look at that. We created – yeah, listen, just because you're in a big city, Brett, that doesn't mean shit. In Little Rock, by the way, I mean, Northwest Arkansas is – I don't know if, Brett, where you live – NWA is pretty freaking nice. It's, thanks to JB Hunt, Walmart, Tyson, the job opportunities are up here. My God, I drove down Vendor Row. It's just all these little business offices where all the major vendors have just, satellite offices. The companies, 3M, Bob Evans, who make the best frozen mashed potatoes on planet Earth. Who's the other one? 3M. Bush's Baked Beans. God, there's so many. All these vendors. You think about all the jobs that they bring to Northwest Arkansas because they need to cater to Walmart. They got to have people here, right? So they have these satellite business offices. And I drove down the street. I mean, there were so many businesses. That's what you have up here. The crime, although it's not great, parts of Fayetteville, you still got to be careful, right? But it's nothing like Little Rock. Nothing like Little Rock. All right. All right. So where are we at on this poll? 66% of you say no. Should Arkansas athletics ever play home games away from Fayetteville? 66% of you, 65% of you say no. If you want to take that poll, speak now or miss the poll. I was looking, and they have KJ is like the number 22 best draft eligible quarterback for next year. Who does? Oh my God! Now see, that is erroneous to me. He is definitely better than he is not the 22nd overall quarterback. No way. He's got to be somewhere in the top. He's got to be right there in the top 12, top 10, top 12, in my opinion. My goodness. You can't be serious saying Little Rock is closer to Tuscaloosa than Fayetteville. Yeah, I don't know. I think Brett, he says he lives in Conway, i.e. 501 and 870 is where the vast majority of our best players come from. Let's be serious. Brett, answer me this, my guy. Answer me this. Why are there so many players on this roster that are not from Arkansas? Why is so much of this roster from Texas, Tulsa, Oklahoma? You got some guys from Louisiana. Go look at that roster, my guy. You're making it out like Central Arkansas just puts out a plethora of talent. They don't. They do put out the most in the state, yes. But man, look at the guys that are still in the league. Look at the guys that are still in the league in the NFL. Where are they from? Dre Greenlaw, where did he play football? Brandon Allen, he may be a backup, but where did he play football? I'm just saying, like you're over here acting like Little Rock, and I hear what you're saying. You seem to have a bias towards Central Arkansas or the 501. By the way, born and raised in Fayetteville, we used to be 501 as well. Now we're the 479 and have been for like 25 years. But I always want to say when I spout out my old home number, I always say 501, 575, boop, 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 boop. But yeah, no, I mean, it's not like this state, period, does not put out a plethora of talent. They have to go out of state. So simply being in Little Rock, what does that get you? Michael Dyer? I mean, who does that – listen, you still were able to go out and grab player. You got Treylon Burks. You're nowhere near Warren, Arkansas. What difference does it make? I think you're I don't know. You either have something against Fayetteville or you just really believe that that's the case. And my guy, I'm telling you, it's just not true. My opinion on the matter, and I'll go ahead and end the poll. It is I don't think it is necessarily black and white. I don't think that it necessarily is 100%. You should never play a single game off campus. I don't think that that's necessarily the case when you're talking about like baseball. I don't have a problem with them playing down in Little Rock. I don't have a problem with that at all. It's one midweek game. I mean, really, I don't care. I really don't. Football, you should never play in Little Rock. Never. You just shouldn't. Basketball should be played all games in Fayetteville. The only sport where I'm just like, yeah, let them play down there, it's definitely baseball. Because you play so many damn games. There's so many opportunities. And you could say the same thing about basketball, but still, Bud Walton is too special of a place. And you can argue Baum Walker as well. But Bud Walton is just too special to not play games inside Bud Walton. Why not? Why not save the money and play on your campus? Now, baseball costs more money to travel than basketball does. But you play so many games, now the preparation's also a little bit different, and all that, and you're playing in a different stadium. That does also have a pretty big impact on some of these guys, especially when they hit a certain way, and you like that at home at Baum where you know where to hit, what side of the field is shorter, or what if you're going to knock one out of the park, where to hit that ball to. You have that familiarity with the stadium that you don't have playing down in Little Rock. But I still think I don't have a problem playing one game down there because you play so many. Now, Austin said earlier it didn't matter, and I think he's kind of changed his opinion on that a little bit. It does matter. It certainly does. I hear, like I said, I know people who get a little confrontational with me when I say that we shouldn't play in Little Rock when it comes to football or basketball. They get a little confrontational about it, because they have fond memories of playing games down there and going to games and tailgating and all that. First off, Fayetteville tailgating has stepped it up. It is way better than it used to be. Is it Little Rock good? No. It's a hell of a lot better than it used to be. That's for damn sure. But, yeah, I think all games should be in Fayetteville. I think every single game in football and basketball should be in Fayetteville. I don't care if baseball, listen, they go and play neutral site games all the time anyways. Every year they go down to Texas and they're playing some game down in Texas. Of course, that's a little different. I get it. It's not technically a home game. But the point being, there's so many games in a season. You're going to have more than enough opportunities. Yeah, Baum is a gorgeous, magical place. But one midweek game, I don't have a problem with. Not really. I really don't, to be honest. So, baseball and softball should play in Little Rock. Okay, keep basketball and football. I see what you're saying now. All right. Yeah. I'm ready for Tuz Talk, Huff and Puff. I don't know if I'm going to any games next year. Even if I have the access to the if I get credentialed or not, I don't know if I will. But even if I do, I think I'm going to stay home and do those because it's so difficult to haul ass at halftime to get back in time to watch the rest of the second half. That's hard to do, man. That's really hard to do. So I may just stay home and do the post games here, hopefully in the studio that's behind me. The garage that we're trying to get turned into a studio. God willing, that's going to happen sometime soon. I just don't know when. They could have invitational tournaments at the beginning of basketball and baseball seasons for in-state schools, says Mike 3664. Then change the name to Northwest Arkansas Razorback. What are you talking about, Playboy? I'm not sure what your point is. I'm ready. I already read that. It's about the money, man. Well, I know football costs. This was Jeff Long saying this, and I think it's been more or less confirmed. Football, it costs over $1 million. When you factor in fuel, equipment, just busing everybody down there, the hotel rooms, because you don't get discounts just because you're the Razorbacks, right? feeding all the guys. It's something, and this was back in 2010 when Jeff Long talked about this, 2010, 2011. I'm pretty sure this was Jeff Long that said this. I don't know. Go Google it. Maybe you could find it somewhere. But pretty sure this was on a Bo Mattingly appearance when he called in. But regardless, we know it's expensive. That's another reason why I say nope. Keep those games in Fayetteville. Listen. You need every advantage that you can have financially, and if it costs you, I bet it's north of $1.5 million now. Think about gas prices. Think about just the inflation cost as it is. I bet it's easily $1.5 million now. You need every advantage. When you're talking about home games, you need them all at home where you're not having to spend that kind of money. That's ludicrous. That is insane. Jayheim, wait, what? Hold up. Really? You're kidding. Hold on. What am I looking at here? Wait, the transfer? Did he really? Hold up. You're talking about the Cincinnati kid? Dude, not again. Not again. This happens all the time. Did he really? I'll be damned. Oh, baby, that's a good get. Once again, and I was just about to hang it up, boys. Jayheim Thomas has committed to the University of Arkansas. That's a pretty good get for Arkansas. He's a 3-star out of high school. I think he's considered a 3-star transfer. I might be wrong on that. He might be a 4-star in the portal. Holy cow. That's a get right there. Per Davenport. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Damn. Every time. They wait until I go live until the end. That's a good get, man. Wow. Yeah. We had him, by the way, Patreon supporters, we had him on the list. On the portal targets, we had talked about him. 6'3", 245, PFF grade 74.7. As it stands, that's going to be one of the highest PFF grades Arkansas has committed through the portal, just behind Anthony Tank Booker with a 77.1 overall PFF grade. Wow. We had him on the list. If you're a Patreon supporter, this shouldn't shock you too much. He was offered. That list is the target list. Those are players that have been offered by Arkansas. Boom. All right. That's awesome. I would love for it to be cheaper for me. I'm not a millionaire. Live in Warren, but I understand. I go where I can go. Well, it was a good thing to do that back, to do that as long as they have. But I think for Arkansas, you need every advantage you can get, man. You need every advantage you can get, and I don't know that playing down Little Rock gives you anything. When you talk about travel expenses, there's some players who've talked about, who love playing that game. DJ Williams was one. Williams, I think he said one of his first opportunities to watch Arkansas was down inside War Memorial. I get it. I've been to games. I don't know how many. I've been to several games down there. Not a ton, but I've been to several games down in Little Rock and some great moments, man. But yeah. Hopefully we can get a couple more safeties. Defense is in. Yeah, that's a good one. Damn. Jayheim Thomas. Really good PFF grade. I might want to double check that PFF grade, but pretty sure he's the second highest commit in terms of grading that Arkansas has committed. Now, Jayheim Singletary, the 5-star Georgia commit, who's supposed to be on campus, I want to say in July, obviously doesn't have a PFF grade. He redshirted. PFF works a little weird too. I think you've got to play a certain amount of snaps before they give you any kind of grading. Varkey's Gums, that tight end, he's got a grade of 71.9. I haven't gotten an update on Jaden Muskrat, the tackle, who's going to end up playing guard if he goes to the SEC, 6'3", PFF grade of 61.2. I haven't gotten an update on him. He's the kid that played 1 year at Bentonville West. Trill Carter, who committed to Texas. Arkansas was all over him, but he had a PFF grade of 62.6. Trying to see here. I don't know if we have an update on. There's a couple of these other guys I need to get some updates on. The Colorado wide receiver, I can't pronounce his name. Montana Limonous. I don't even know why I try. Limonius, is that it? Montana Limonius Craig. See, when you spit it out like that, it actually sounds pretty simple. 6'1", 175. He has a PFF grade of 65. Listen, that's pretty good. You know, when you get into the 60s and into the low 70s, low mid-70s, that's not a bad PFF score because PFF is brutal on their scoring. I mean, they just are. You see guys like Rocket Sanders has a PFF grade of something like, I don't know, last I saw, it wasn't very good. Wasn't very good at all. Drew Sanders, they had rated pretty low. I think he was in the low 60s. So they're pretty brutal. All right. Slap a like on your way out. That is going to do it. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. It was a good conversation to have. A lot of you, again, on that odd soul poll. 65% of you say no, Arkansas should never play home games away from Fayetteville. 34% of you saying they should. I do appreciate you guys taking that poll. We're not always going to agree. I know someone's going to get a little pissy. I'm either going to get an email or a DM or a comment. Someone's going to be pissy. But listen, at the end of the day, it's good that we can just at least have the conversation because I think it's one of those hot button topics for Arkansas fans. You know, Nolan Richardson statue, I believe he should have one outside Bud Walton. That's one, right? That's one of those pillars of Arkansan conversations or heated debates, you know, and where Arkansas should play their home games. That's definitely another one of those pillars. And listen, Hog fans are pretty, you know, I say fan is short for fanatic. Arkansas fans are some of the most fanatics. You know, they're some of the biggest fans. But hey, you know what? I'm not sure I'd have it any other way, right? Okay. Again, I appreciate you guys. I will. I don't know what the plans are as far as lives are concerned the rest of this week. I plan on going live at least one more time, and I'm going to have some more edited content coming your way as well. Probably some clips and what have you. So, yeah, all right, good get. While we were live, you had the linebacker out of Cincinnati commit to Arkansas. That was huge. That's how we'll end it right there. All right, woo pig, and I'll see you guys on the next one.